I'm Tony La Mantia, President and CEO of Waterloo EDC.
How would you characterize the Waterloo ecosystem and overall FDI attractiveness? And what are some of the strengths and weaknesses that you would highlight?
I would characterize the Waterloo tech ecosystem as a globally significant brain belt. It's dynamic, it's diverse, and it's centered by being home to Canada's top tech university. So we have a very strong manufacturing base and a very strong tech base. So think about it, the largest manufacturing employer in the region is actually Toyota, and they're Canada's #1 automotive manufacturer. And Canada's largest software company, which is OpenText, is also headquartered in our region. So very strong anchors, supported by sort of multinationals like Google and Shopify, plus scaling significantly, as well as a strong startup and scale-up ecosystem with companies like Fair and Applyboard that are two new unicorns that we have in the downtown core. So it is a diverse, it is a dense ecosystem. I think that's very important. And we are, from a global standpoint, punching well above our weight as a community.
Perhaps we'll talk about the sort of medium-sized city effect. I know there was an article last year, was it in the New York Times or so? Why don't you actually tell us a bit about that, and perhaps even more relevant in the COVID-19 context?
Secondary cities are increasingly becoming hubs for multinational investment. And I think it's because of the ability to locate in communities where there is more density. So when you think about Waterloo region, the guts of our of our tech ecosystem are literally around a 10-kilometer radius, and that is actually a very dense area, and it's all connected by a brand new light rail system. So we put in a light rail transit system a couple of years ago. So all connected, and you have the University of Waterloo, you have Wilfrid Laurier University, so very strong kind of tech, math, AI, quantum, strong business school, as well as Conestoga College, which is has the largest apprenticeship program in the country. So within our community of just over 600,000 people, you've got a lot of density. So within a short walking distance to a number of the hubs, the accelerators, the research institutions, and I think that's a very strong value proposition in a world where it's increasingly less critical to be, in large cities. And so multinationals are looking at secondary cities because of the density, but also because of the ability for collision and convergence, right? So when you are so close and you have this density, there's a lot more innovation that is likely.
What would you say are Waterloo's priority sectors, and what major investments, in particular foreign, would you like to highlight to Canadians and also abroad?
Our priority sectors very much include tech, and within tech, there's a range of different strengths. So think about artificial intelligence, quantum computing. And so towards that end, companies like Google have made very large investments in the region. I mean, they're currently scaling to about 3,000 people, doubling their square footage in our region. Companies like Shopify Plus, again, have really expanded very quickly. And that's a testimony to the talent that we have, strengths in data science, smart robotics, machine learning. These things, especially what I call applied artificial intelligence, there are over 100 companies and institutions and research labs working in that space. So I would say, and that coalesces very nicely, it aligns with our manufacturing strength. So in areas like automotive, so we've become a very strong, globally significant automotive or auto tech hub, anchored by companies like Toyota and Bosch that are doing work on connected autonomous vehicle. Ford has a division working in Waterloo as well on those types of innovations. So In addition to that, we also have a very strong financial services sector. So insurance companies, global giants like Manulife, Sun Life, Equitable, they're all headquartered in Waterloo region. And again, given what's happening with tech, we're seeing a lot of fintech innovation in Waterloo region. And so there's a mirror between the traditional sectors, manufacturing, financial services, and the disruption coming out of the technology across the board. And then ultimately, I would say in areas like robotics and smart robotics, we've got some great leaders like ClearPath, AvidBots, that are doing extremely well in this COVID environment because of the importance of the use of robotics in advanced manufacturing. And so those would be our core strengths. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention our academic sector. You know, having the University of Waterloo, Wilfrid Laurier University, and Conestoga College, that really kind of rounds out a very strong brain belt where you've got the private sector, research institutions, and the ecosystem accelerators and incubators supporting it all. And, you know, places like the Accelerator Center, the Communitech Hub, University of Waterloo Velocity Garage, where we've had a number of great startups. So that, in a sense, is what our value proposition is for local companies that want to scale and foreign companies that are looking for discerning places to grow their companies.
What is the value of FDI to Canada's economy, communities, and overall society?
Well, the value of FDI is significant, but it needs to be, you know, we need to be more discerning about the quality of the FDI and things like, you know, made in Canada versus owned in Canada or Canadian owned become very, very important. I certainly, you know, I understand and I believe that, you know, multinationals can play a huge role in building up the, you know, an ecosystem of a community. We invest a lot in our post-secondary education. And I think, you know, the most important thing that I like to highlight is that, you know, any ecosystem requires a diversity of members. So homegrown companies, multinationals. And if we were not welcoming to good corporate citizens and foreign direct investment, I worry about the reciprocity there, you know, that effect. You know, our scaling companies have to be successful in other markets, including the United States and Europe. And imagine if the environment were not reciprocal so I think we want people that integrate in the community. We want companies that are focused on, you know, having a social impact as opposed to just kind of grabbing up all the talent. And the way to address that is not to hide. You know, it's not to be a low ambition globalist or at worst a nationalist. It's to be aggressive and focus on growth and the value proposition, because the more companies we have that want to become global giants and want to acquire companies in the United States and acquire companies around the world, the better. The last thing I'll say is, you know, as a country, we have a unique opportunity now to use our kind of our beacon, our brand of reliability, of stability, to not just set up, you know, or support tech outposts, but actually to move entire headquarters. You know, we're not, when we're talking to multinationals, it's not just, it's especially these days, given the H-1B visa situation and the global skills program, the global talent stream, which we've been using, we are convincing Americans to basically move their entire operations to Canada. And not just to get work permits, but to grow here. And a good recent example of that is Odyssey Interactive. This is a company out of Los Angeles, founded by University of Waterloo student who became very successful at a company called Riot Games. I'm not a gamer, but games like League of Legends and others. He brought his two co-founders, both Americans, into Canada, and as a referral partner, we use the global talent stream to get them here and to get them the work permits. And so where the money comes from matters, but our goal is to ensure that entire headquarters are established in Waterloo region. And I think that should be the goal for Canada. We actually want these companies to move here permanently, right? And so that's part of the goal.
What supports are available for foreign investors pre-COVID, during COVID, post-COVID? in Waterloo specifically, or in the region? And what more would you like to see from, whether it's the federal government, the provincial government, or any other constituencies?
If you're a foreign company looking to invest in Waterloo region, your first stop should really be my organization, Waterloo EDC. It is the first point of contact for companies wanting to relocate, or expand in Waterloo region. We, in addition to providing you a targeted investment welcoming kit, we help with site selection, talent attraction, introduce you to all kinds of intermediaries, law firms, kind of accounting firms, and real estate site selection. We provide those services and referrals. But I think that once you're here, that's when the real work starts, right? It's just like any sales proposition. You get the purchase order and you're happy, but the real work starts with the customer after that, in terms of gaining their trust and helping them to grow. And at that point, introductions to our support partners in the ecosystem, like the Communitech Hub, Velocity, the Accelerator Center, our research institutions, those are all really strong organizations that are designed to foster innovation. In terms of the areas where I think we could do better and must do better, and it's partnership with the provincial and federal governments in particular, are helping more homegrown companies scale abroad. And foreign direct investment, I like to say, is like two sides of the same coin. While we welcome, talent, we also have to remember it's important, especially because Canada is such a small economy, for our companies to be successful globally. So I'd like to see more Shopify's, more Fair Wholesales, and more Apply Boards. These are companies that have gone from, and certainly in the case of Fair and Apply Board, to multi-billion-dollar valuations. And it's great to have them in our community. We need more homegrown companies that are global giants. And the only way to do that is to ensure that we are very discerning about foreign direct investment, that we make sure that companies that locate in the region are good partners, support talent, are good, they focus on social impact. And going forward, some of the recommendations about what universities and what organizations like mine can do to really stand up local companies and help them grow internationally, I think that is something that's going to be strategically important for the country, because our ability to be successful in the intangible economy, to focus on strong intellectual property rights, these are all things that are changing the landscape in real time, Florent, and it's incumbent on us to do that, because the competition continues to be fierce, and it continues to be widespread. And so all cities, secondary cities, major hubs across Canada really have to focus on that value proposition.
What would essentially be your message to foreign investors who, in this very, very unusual time, full of uncertainty, are still considering their options? What would you tell them basically in terms of the reasons why they should prioritize Canada over any other option in the world?
We are a beacon of stability, reliability in this very hurly-burly global environment. So my message would be, you want peace of mind, you want order, and you want social cohesion. Look no further than north. If you're American, it really is a great value proposition for Canada, and it's our time. So that's what I would say to foreign investors: that the quality of the talent, the strength of all of our communities, Waterloo region included, and organizations like Invest in Canada and the province, are shining a spotlight on it at a very unique time in a year like no other.